Excellent. Hello and welcome to everyone um, to this webinar on emotional connections through apps. Our presenter for this session is Lindsay Perra. I won't take more time. Over to Lindsay. Please guide us from here.
Thank you, Tim. It's an honor to be here. I want to thank everyone for joining us for EQ Week. I hope you got a chance to check out some of the amazing webinars from yesterday. Josh telling us more about their amazing work with 6 seconds, and also Deborah talking about resistance. Great topics, and there are so many more to come this week. So it's an honor and a pleasure to be a part of them, especially talking about a topic that I love so much, the intersection of technology and transformation, how technology can actually serve to connect us, not to simply disconnect. So before we get started here, I also want to say thank you to Iman and Josh for connecting us to 6 Seconds and to EQ Week. To Tim, who's helped so much put this together. Tim, a big shout out and a cheer for you. I know if we have any problems, you can message in the chat here and let us know, and Tim is working his magic. And then also to my team, Aaron and Scott out there. Thanks for all your support. So again, my name is Lindsay Perra. I am the founder, and I call myself the Inspirer-in-Chief, or sometimes the Chief Connection Officer. We kind of like to play around, but the idea is that together with Aaron, we founded Wizen to be a company that creates tools for transformation in its many forms. And today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the catalyst for that mission, but also share with you some tools out there that are fostering that kind of transformation and connection for people. So first, I want to take us on a little mystery adventure. This is a conversation that was overheard between the 6-year-old and her aunt. And the first thing she says is, "We don't do this." And the next thing she said was, "Where I live, our mornings are very busy." She was kind of feeling anxious about us embarking on this activity. She said that today is not a day for this kind of thing. And then as she kind of settled into what we were doing, she said, with kind of this sense of wonder, "You know, the weird thing is that everything out here is genuine." And then she defined it. She said, "That means it's real." She was kind of blown away by that. So before I unveil the mystery activity, anybody want to take a guess in the comments what this crazy activity this child was embarking on was? I'll take you through and I'll show you. Well, the mystery activity was going outside for a walk. It was a beautiful morning. Seemed like a logical thing to do. I'll confess to being the aunt in this story. And it was really fascinating taking a walk out on our property and feeling this young lady's discomfort and stepping into her edges by being, off schedule, out in the morning, doing something that was unstructured, without a destination, without an objective, and just stepping outside for a walk. So the point I'm trying to make is that on some fundamental level, childhood is changing, and by extension, families and communities are too. As our kids get less accustomed to just stepping outside into the outdoors, that impacts how they connect with their environment, with their neighborhood, their backyard, and also by extension, it impacts how they relate to themselves and their families as well. There's some statistics here about what that impact looks like, what kids are doing, how they're spending their time, whether that's screen time or playing what we would think of as traditional kid activities. My partner Aaron is going to be sharing some of those off on the side here, but the gist of it is, if you look around, we're seeing screens in front of kids everywhere. You see them here on the stroller, we see them in cars, we see multiple screens in cars, so every child can be watching something different. We see them at restaurants, we see them attached to shopping carts. So the child's experience is largely being crafted by whatever device and medium we're choosing to put in front of them. And what goes on behind that is almost irrelevant. That's what I love about this photo is obviously beyond this stroller, there's some green space, maybe a park. I see some trees off in the distance. But the thing that's in focus and is clear is the iPhone that's there entertaining them. So here's another image, another example of how lack of connection is affecting us. Whether or not you have a gamer in your life or in your family, I think it's hard to say that technology isn't impacting what is already a time of potential disconnect for the teenagers in our lives. It certainly provides an easy way to retreat, to live in your own world, to disengage from what might have otherwise been typical teen after-school activities. We're seeing more and more of this, kids lost in their gaming, kids prioritizing their gaming, or having to have gaming restricted in order to do basic things like go to their sports or keep up with their grades. I love this image too because it says so much, not only about her eyes being focused on the technology and not seeing this incredible landscape outside, but also because it evokes for me driving in cars and how much that has changed with this ubiquitous consumption of technology all around us. Even in my own car, where we limit media quite a bit, kids are instantly drawn to whatever screen is in the car and not so much looking out the window and engaging. And I guess this photo for me evoked that sense of we're in our own little worlds, in our own little cars, not even looking outside the window to see the landscape and the geography as it passes by. So we know that this lack of connection has an impact. And there's all kinds of discussion about what kind of impact that has. And I'm not going to dive into too deeply. I know there's a lot of debate. But we certainly know that there are symptoms of disconnect. And there are great people out there doing a lot of good work talking about what those symptoms of disconnect are, whether it's sedentariness all the way to sensory disorders, to depression, isolation, anxiety. Love to reference Richard Louv here if you haven't already found his book, Nature Deficit Disorder. He goes into great lengths to share the impacts and the symptoms of disconnect on children, families, and cultures. And also John Young, whose work on deep nature connection and cultural repair is offering solutions for how to bring connection back to disconnected neighborhoods, schools, communities, and other circles. What I love about those two examples, if you do take me up on it and check them out, is that neither of these guys is eschewing technology. They're both leveraging technology in beautifully connective ways. Richard Louv's website is just an incredible resource of tools and downloads and tips and action sheets, things that you can use as an educator or parent to take a group of children out into the world and facilitate a connective experience. The same is true with John Young. I don't think I know a person who has brought technology into the wilds more than John has. He's constantly sharing with us which apps are the best for bird language, bird watching, stars, wind patterns. So two of the people that I consider thought leaders on the symptoms of disconnect are also two individuals that I know are leveraging connective technologies in really creative and interesting ways. Because we know it matters. We know that the social and emotional disconnect affects how we feel. And I see we have some funny raps on this slide, but hopefully you can make your way through it. The gist is that we were wired to be connected to one another. We're wired to be connected to our environment, to nature, to our parents, our grandparents. That's how we learned. Mentoring culture was how information was passed down. And as a result, there can be a physiological disconnect when that connection is not present. So as I mentioned, the H. Shields Institute and John Young, they're looking at how healthy cultures can restore those connections because the symptoms are many. We already touched on ADHD and sensory, but also just the sense of loss of hope, that flat affect, the inability to get excited about going outside or connecting to nature. And of course, lots and lots of conversations happening about how that impacts whether we're raising kids who care about the environment, whether they are positioned to get out and speak up for the earth if they are already experiencing the symptoms of being disconnected from their environment from a very early age. So the point here being, it really is across ages, adults and children alike. I can't imagine that any one of us here hasn't seen a scene that was captured in this photo. Here is a family ostensibly waiting for something, and not one of them is engaging with the other. They are all buried in their own little screens. So I'd love to bring up a poll here. Tim, if you would, I am curious about whether you feel that screen time interferes with your ability to connect. Let's move that over. There we go. So do you feel that screen time is currently interfering with your ability to connect with yourself, nature, your children, family? I'm curious to see what we've got there. Yes, we've got a lot weighing in that it really is impacting your ability to connect. Second is sometimes small percentage saying, no, not really. They found some good balance in how to use technology in a way that works for them. Well, I can certainly say, speaking from experience, that I was a person who felt hugely impacted by the disconnect myself. We can take this poll down now, Tim. Thank you. Let's see if we get that slide back. So I was, this is about 10, 13 years ago, something like that. I was working in the Bay Area, working in software, working in IT. My health was increasingly failing me. I couldn't get a handle on why I felt the way I did. Doctors didn't have a diagnosis. And so like so many people, I romanticized this idea that if I just disconnected from it all, if I disconnected from the technology that was supposedly disconnecting me from, my good health or the vision I had of the life I wanted to be living, that everything would be better. So I quit the career and I moved to the country. I did the, build the eco dream house, and the kids can run free on 40 acres and swing from the oaks and the almond trees. And we simplified and we de-stressed and we did nature connection activities. And it was all really worthwhile and very noble efforts. But at the end of the day, I was still sick. So being sick led me to a place where I needed to use technology to get to the bottom of what was going on. When my third daughter was born, she had severe neurological issues that prevented her from feeding, and that kind of led us on this rabbit hunt around the state to find out what was going on. And long story short, I ended up being diagnosed with Lyme disease and learned that I had passed Lyme disease to my 3 children. So not only was I faced with trying to regain my own health, but the care of my children. And what you quickly learn is that, we all know this, right? No 2 people are alike. Every person responds differently to treatment, to therapies, to movement. Their sleep patterns are different. Their sensitivities are different. So this dip into healing from Lyme disease led me on a mission to find better ways to keep track of what was going on with our health. I tried spreadsheets. I tried some online tools. But there were a couple primary things missing. One was an effective way to keep track of exactly what was impacting the individual. The other was all of these tools focused on the negative, capturing symptoms. I like working within the context of the chronic illness that you have been diagnosed with. And what I was really trying to do in creating my own tool was not only provide a good tool that was shareable and usable and connected you to what was working for you, but also did it in the context of looking at the positive. So moving towards the things that were working, helping you identify what does work and understand yourself better so that you can make informed choices and move yourself along your healing journey. So along the way, a mission was born. We are kind of the unexpected accidental technology company. Having left the corporate world, both Erin and I and the Bay Area. Erin is a Waldorf parent, which, as many of you may know, has no technology in the home or in the classroom. My kids were in a part of a nature school, which was also very, very low media. I think I'll speak for Erin, but I believe neither of our households have had television for over 20 years. And so it was kind of ironic that here we were coming around to identifying ways to create technology that would be connective and would be in line with not only our personal family values, our health values, but also this belief that technology could hold the answer. One of the neat things about having this alternative background is we were avid trackers. Erin certainly an animal tracker, me a personality, life, what works, what doesn't work kind of tracker. We certainly were invested in the art of questioning and how to use deep questioning to inform your own relationships and feeling and thinking, and we're definitely improvers. So from that, we began to create a basic tracker. This started out in the context of chronic illness, and what we learned is that the path of transformation was actually really, really simple. This little infographic is attempting to show you just the key 5 steps that you would follow to begin to use a tracker. And it's as simple as logging in, designating some value about yourself. Looking forward to the days when that is more invisible and that can get done in other ways. But for now, we log on and we track. You view results. Through those results, you gain insights, and that allows you to take action. That's where the change piece comes. So from tracking, gain awareness, learn from that, and then affect change and make change based on what you'd really like to see happen in your life. There's so many pieces of that I really want to call out. One, in the viewing the results, there's that important objectivity piece, the piece where you step back from feeling so consumed by your symptoms and being the victim of your circumstance, and instead are able to start seeing what's going on in a more objective light, starting to understand through this dynamic graph that we created what is impacting what, and how interesting that taking a walk actually seems to correlate with my head pain going down. That's the kind of stuff we wanted to provide and to allow to empower the people using our tools. Another really big piece of the tracking, and part of why tracking is such a critical component to the tools that we create, is because the tracking piece provides memory. It helps you see what you might not otherwise see, and it helps show you what change looks like over time. So while you may be deeply immersed in this moment, or even in this week, or in this particular episode, as we move through those, as time is always moving, as our symptoms are always shifting, we lose the ability to learn from those, communicate them, share them with practitioners over time, and keeping track. If you go back to the founding father of tracking, that was what he was trying to say. And Frank was saying, use your journal so you can see yourself over time. We're offering a solution that says, here's a simple online tool that will allow you to track yourself over time and to therefore know yourself better. So again, this slide is wrapping for you, so you got these funny hanging G's, but the gist of it is, well, first of all, this isn't all that different than the wheels you've probably seen throughout EQ Week. I'm guessing you guys have seen the Think, Feel, Act life cycle from the good folks at 6 Seconds. This life cycle is very similar in the context of tracking. So through tracking, you see yourself better. That enables you to understand what you are feeling, what you are sensing. That's the interconnection of what's going on in the body, beginning to see what's going on in the body. Through that, you gain self-awareness and understanding. And as you move through that life cycle, that's where the connection is born. Like we use the example here, if you're tracking your own health, this is where the connection to self is born, where you become the expert of you, where you become the expert of what's going on with you and your own personal manifestation of a healing journey. That connection to self was one of the first and most transformational pieces of creating the first tracker that we created. I also feel it's deeply connected to the EQ model around know, choose, give, and also think, feel, act. As we get to know ourselves better, as we understand how we're feeling, then you step over into that feeling life cycle and recognize how better understanding of yourself and how you're feeling enables you to act. And that is the connection point with others. That's where you move into the outer ring of, now I'm not just connecting with myself, I'm connecting with others, whether that's your caregiver, your partner, your practitioner, and then that choose, give piece, then how you choose to show up in the world with that knowledge. Moving on, this was kind of an exciting point, right? We felt like we'd proven our hypothesis. Yes, technology can equal connection. We certainly know all the many ways it can equal disconnect, but there is a way that it equals connection. So if that is true, there must be lots of places where we can apply this. This was a really fun phase in the evolution of Wising where we started to look at, yes, we may have started in chronic illness, and technology applied there can help support your healing journey, help you manage your self-care, help you identify treatments, definitely help you have a better relationship and better communication with your practitioners. But what about applying it to personal development? All of a sudden, as you begin to apply the same connective model, you realize supports your efforts to achieve your personal goals, to identify strategies for growth, and to determine what's actually serving you as an individual. And then, one that's probably most connected to our time here today, in the audience. I'm guessing we have a lot of educators and parents on the line, although I should have told you. I'd love to know if you are. Maybe comment if you work with children, or if you were drawn to this talk by virtue of your connection to children, whether they're your own or your students. But so we have a parent and educator here. Yes, another one. Okay. So on that parent-educator space, it gets really exciting because of course, it's a tool. We know this for learning, sharing, and community, but it's also a great tool for bonding. And so looking across these three models, we started to get really excited about how we can apply this kind of connective technology where it's needed most. A product suite was born out of this. On the left, you'll see the Chronic Wellness Tracker. It's an online tool, and it is, again, intended to be a positivity tool. It's a hope tool. It's an inspiration app. Yes, it allows you to look at your symptoms and to track your activities and see how that impacts, say, your pain level. But it's all in the context of what is working for you. We build towards a higher number, which is positive. Our end goal is a positive. It provides insights and recommendations, trying to illuminate for you patterns you might not see on your own. Like, hey, did you notice, that your general well-being score is low, and these are the activities that could help boost that. Take a walk, consider a gentle movement course, that kind of thing. On the self-development side, we have a challenge tracker, and we have a new app that I'll show you a little bit about that's coming out called Shift. And then on the educators and parenting side, although I guess we could debate that the emotion wheel would be cross-category on this. Two products, Feelings with Milo and the Emotion Wheel. And before I take you into looking at these more closely, I just want to say that this isn't just us, that there's obviously a lot of people out there creating connective apps, and I'd love to encourage you to seek them out. Josh Friedman talked a little bit about his super sweet and elegant app Intent, which, while being simple and elegant, also has an incredible power for transformation, used daily and in a connective way. EQ Kids has some great stuff that's coming out, so definitely keep an eye out on them, especially you parent and educators. Danielle Laporte, I'm not sure if this audience has much overlap with Danielle's work, but she is the author of Firestarter Sessions and Desire Map. She's done incredible work bringing emotional awareness and emotional literacy to women entrepreneurs and kind of a mainstream audience, where she's helping them curate and craft a life based on how they want to feel. And I think that's a huge distinction. A lot of the tools we see out there around emotional literacy, emotional intelligence, are simply identifying how you feel. Her tools have you plan your day and guide your life truly based on how you want to feel. So imagine just for a second what your day would feel like if you started out your day thinking, how do I want to feel today? Because there aren't that many of us who would say, I really want to feel stressed and overwhelmed, which is how so many of us feel. But what if instead you crafted your day based on, actually today I want to feel very connected to my kids. I want to feel fulfilled in completing such a project. How would you then structure the minutes of your day to support that value, how you wanted to feel that day? Neat stuff. Check her out, DanielleLaporte.com. So I mentioned Shift. Shift is a tool that I'm super excited about. It is a life wheel. We had a nifty little tool that would have enabled us to show you a live demo, but we couldn't quite make it work with the webinar software. So bear with me. These are just some stills. But this is a tool that enables you to look at your whole life, classic life wheel format. We've chosen the values here, nature, gratitude, community, your body, your mind, your soul, love, your work, or your purpose. And then as you fill out those values for the day, the week, you can not only see them on a bar graph, how they go up and down, but it produces this beautiful wheel. So you get that sense of where would you like to focus your time? How does one area affect another area? As one gets more full, does another one retreat? Is it worth bringing one back, dialing one back so that you can be more full in other areas? So Shift is being reviewed in the App Store right now. I look forward to it coming out soon. But a neat thing that came from that was a connection here with 6 Seconds. We were really excited about how 6 Seconds had used the Plutchik model to, in their consultancy work and in their methodologies, to communicate not only the body of emotions that a human experiences, but how they are interconnected and what provoking questions can help you understand yourself better, to understand your own emotions better. So Emotion Wheel was born. Really excited to mention again that Emotion Wheel is in the App Store, was launched in conjunction with EQ Week here, so you'll be able to go download it. I encourage you to do so. Try it out. Give us your feedback. We're already getting lots of feedback. Hey, I want custom emotions. Hey, I want to be able to do this. I think one of the favorite features is after you complete your wheel, you can either email it or share it on Facebook. So it's not only an accountability piece, but it's a coaching tool. So when I use the wheel with my clients, I have them complete the wheel prior to a session, or we can complete it together. So we can keep a record of where we are, and we can track our progress over time. And we have that common vocabulary of what we're working towards and where we've been. So please do check that out. And this is one I'm super proud of as well. It's kind of where it all began. Our good friend Alicia Bishop, who was one of the founders of Moms with Apps, connected us to this great company, Speech with Milo. Been doing incredible work for speech therapists, working with kids on the spectrum, with autism, kids in general, educating through schools and programs. They have a beautiful suite of tools that you should definitely check out. We had the great opportunity to partner with them to create a tracker, a feelings tracker with them. We wanted to help them round out their product suite with a feelings app, but also do it in a way that brought in our values around the importance of tracking. So again, I wish I could show you the live demo here. I would love to encourage you to go to the App Store and try it out yourself. Basically what you do, if you see that image of the caterpillar train in the upper left-hand corner, you, with the child, identify how they are feeling. You drag it down into the train. It brings up this prompt where you can write down for the child, or if they're old enough, they can write down themselves why they're feeling the way they're feeling, and then you can save it. It's been really fun seeing this tool come to light, the incredible feedback that it's gotten. It was a fun process creating. We worked with 2 OTs, and they couldn't have been more opposite. Susan Shank, who's in Canada, has a business that is technology for OTs, I believe. I wish I had her URL here, but you could Google her. A phenomenal woman working globally with OTs, helping them leverage technologies in ways that are connected for kids. And then another advisor, Kathleen Lockyer, who is the founder of the Institute for Sensory-Based Learning. She's really going the other direction with OT, working with kids in nature, taking them out of the school, out of the clinic environment. She uses very little technology. So it was great to have the 2 of them as collaborators and advisors on this project, and we feel really excited about how it came out and how it's being used. I'd just love to take one more minute to tell you 2 examples of how it's being used that were outside of the scope of our use case. About 3 days after it launched, I was approached by a woman who is a very high-end executive coach in LA, and she's working with a female executive who felt that she had hit a barrier in her career. And as she was working with this coach, after 3 sessions, the coach realized she was not able to help facilitate the woman using an emotion, to express an emotion that she was having. So obviously delving into that further, they identified that, as a first generation born here in the U.S., emotional intelligence, emotional language, that whole language of empathy and understanding, just identifying emotion, it wasn't present in her home. It wasn't present at the dinner table. It wasn't something she had developed, and therefore she'd hit a critical point in her career where it was lacking. They started using Feelings with Milo, and they're using it as a tracker for her as she builds her awareness of the key emotions, of what they look like on someone's face, of how to respond, how to build empathy, how to connect. So that was unexpected and pretty fun. The other unexpected use case came from my own daughter. So my 4-year-old is using the tool very much like you think. She climbs into my lap and we fill out her train for the day, and she loves picking out the Milo face that matches how she's feeling, and then she tells me why she feels that way, and then she's done and she's off and she's running. Well, one morning at the breakfast table, I see my 9-year-old daughter with the iPad, and we don't have a lot of media going all the time, so I'm saying, hey, what you doing over there, kiddo? And I walked over, and it turned out she had created a profile for each of us in the family, and she was actually tracking all of our emotions. So she had mom is feeling anxious, dad is humming, he looks happy. And I thought, oh my gosh, how fascinating. She's going to be this future, I don't know, therapist or sociologist who's using this tool to learn about emotions vis-a-vis the people around her and how they are feeling. So I do encourage you, as you test out these tools, whether it's Intend or Shift or Emotion Wheel or Milo, look for unique and creative ways. Let the kids lead you, because they are certainly, thinking outside the box, and there's so much to be learned in how they do it. So I guess my challenge to you is to ask yourself how you can use technology to make choices, not only what tools to use that are connected tools by nature, but how you use the tools in general. So for example, when we kicked off this webinar this morning, it's an amazing piece of technology that we're using. We had people telling us where they were all over the world, weighing in, letting us know how they were feeling, sharing excitement, obviously through sharing a gratitude at the very beginning. We connect to each other in ways that kind of simulate what we would do if we were in a room together. But also, we can take it even further because we are spreading distance and time here. So finding creative ways to use the tools. I would love to leave you with an image of when I first heard that Iman and Josh had learned of the Feelings with Milo app, and he called me on the phone and he said, I have my kiddo right here on my lap and we're filling out the train. What was so huge for me in that moment was not only that he liked the tool, but that is exactly how we envision the tool being used, in connection, with the child there with you. I think it's not all that different. Technology is not all that different than times in the past where we may have potentially, I'm thinking of books, for example. The difference between a family reading a book at night together, maybe when there was only 1 or 2 books in the whole house, reading together, and how that was a connective experience, to when the kid has their own book. Or maybe I'm thinking of my sister now, who could be so immersed and disconnected by a book she would miss dinner and the whole weekends. But we never blamed the book. We talked about how to find balance, how to make sure that you are also connecting with the people around you. Television and movies, not that different, right? The difference between hopping on the couch with your child and watching the screen versus plopping the child down in front of the screen as a distraction so you can get other things done. Same here with apps and with online technology. Yes, they can be, a great benefit if you're trying to have a conversation and or maybe even have dinner out. I'm not judging anyone their use of their technology for what works for their family, but I would love to encourage them to look at ways to use that technology in a more connected way, to engage, to use it as a way to connect not only to the world around you, use these great nature apps out there, to the people around you, but most importantly, to connect to yourself and to get to know you better. So, in conclusion, I want to thank you for being here. As you can probably tell, this is one of my absolute favorite topics. I think we could go on and on the emotional side, on the tech side, on the connection side, and it was just an honor to be able to bring a little bit of each of those together in the context of this talk. I want to mention that there's an email going out after the webinar concludes that will have a lot of the links that we've mentioned. We also have a little gift in there, created a lovely little paper version of Feelings with Milo that you can print and use, put in a child's folder or use at home on your art shelf as a way to complete it like a worksheet, to have fun with it in that way, color on it, see how the child wants to engage with it. as well as links to Emotion Whale, which again is free in the App Store throughout the duration of EQ Week. So I want to say thanks again to Josh and the whole EQ team. This has been so fun to see everyone and to be here. An absolute honor. Tim, thank you again for making it all happen and weaving your magic from so far away. To